Pink on Magic in the Morning. Boy, that beautiful sunshine out there. What a way to start the day off. And mild, too, 38 degrees. Tuesday mornings at this time, 8:35, we check with Mike Barrett, who comes into the studio. We talk about your insurance needs. It's called Good Policies. Mike, good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Want the weather forecast or Good Policies? Your call.
Well, I mean, the drive-in had to have been beautiful.
It was nice. It's a beautiful morning. It's the calm before the storm, although so wishy-washy. I missed Mark's extended forecast. I don't know what he's calling for, but, initially they were talking about 12 to 18. Now it's dialed back to possibly 6 to 8, 8 to 10. Where's Mark at?
Well, he says possibly a foot on Burke Mountain. Winter storm watches in effect tomorrow through Thursday throughout the listening area, except for Caledonia and Essex counties.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't care much about that forecast. I'm just worried about Monday, and Monday's looking reasonable. So let's fingers crossed on that. So.
Yep. Once in a lifetime. All right, Good Policies. We talk about your insurance needs. All right, spring cleaning time is here.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just mean the living room.
No, it means the yard.
It does.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of folks, more and more people out there, instead of hiring somebody to come do it, they do it themselves. They'll get themselves to do enough with chainsaw. But a lot of folks are getting tractors and yard equipment and stuff like that. That's something we haven't talked about here in the world of insurance.
It's a good time, too, with things thawing out. And tax season, too, right? Somebody might be getting a tax return and make a down payment on a tractor. So, great question. How are tractors covered for insurance? Are they covered? There's a couple of different things that happen. So depending on how and where you get your tractor, some of the manufacturers do have built-in insurance on loans when you get a loan with them. Now, full disclosure here is I'm going off memory and recall. I'm not going off definitive, so you want to check this. But the history that I've seen is that if you get the insurance through the financing agreement, you're not necessarily insuring for the full value, insuring for the loan value of that particular unit. So you're not necessarily protecting yourself. You're really only protecting the interest of the lost payee. The better way to do it is to specifically list it. There's multiple ways to do that.
Okay, so this opens up a whole great big can of worms with possibilities, because I think last time I checked, a moderate-sized service tractor like that is somewhere in the ballpark of $15,000 to $20,000. So you're going to have to finance it unless you got a big fat wallet.
Right.
And when we think of automobiles, we automatically think of that insurance in contacting our agent.
Exactly. And so there's a couple of ways to think about it. And you're right, 15, 20, I've seen $30,000+ on these subcompact tractors, depending on what you got. So regular I'll say this, regular tractor used to service your property. So I'm talking the John Deere riding a lawnmower. Most likely that's going to be covered just automatically on your homeowner policy. Better coverage for on a Form 5 than a Form 3. Google it. We won't get into it this morning, but good to know there. For something with a higher value, now you're looking at a motorized vehicle that should have something else. And, technically a tractor could be covered on your policy, but how many of us keep our tractor only at our house? The second all of your buddies and your family find out that you've got a subcompact tractor, or maybe you have a secondary property, do you think that thing's staying just at your house? Probably not. So when that happens, and I would do it no matter what. I wouldn't even have that be the trigger. I was using that as a good example, but I would specifically list it. Now, many homeowner policies, not necessarily all of them, but many homeowner carriers have an endorsement where you can schedule a tractor. You put in the value, the year, make, model, serial number, and a deductible, and boom, you have coverage wherever that tractor happens to land. If your homeowner policy does not have that option, there are some commercial policies out there called inland marine policies that can specifically schedule the value of your tractor. So we're covering the damage that can occur to your tractor, but what about the liability? What if you're driving down the road with that and you don't have liability? There are ways to do that. Some companies have the ability to add liability from your homeowner policy to that tractor. Some don't. Again, the inland marine, that's only going to cover damage to the tractor. But something pretty darn cool happened earlier just this year. And that, go ahead.
Well, I was going to come in here. There's also those apparatus, and I don't know what they're called, but they got the tracks on them. They got the backhoe thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then
excavators.
Okay, yeah.
So bucket load, bulldozers, yeah.
We saw a lot of those being used back when we had the flooding.
Yeah.
People were using them to fix the back roads. Would this be the same scenario?
Those could be possibly a little beyond the comfort level. I think an inland marine would absolutely work for those on a commercial lines policy, but not necessarily a homeowner. There are some companies that may make a bend if it's definitive that it's not being used commercially. But something that Progressive Progressive did just this past year is they have long been a great provider of motorcycle and snowmobile and ATV insurance. And on their motorcycle policy forms, they've added something new. And they can insure e-bikes, which we're not talking about this morning, and tractors. Subcompact tractors you can insure on a Progressive motorcycle policy form, and it's going to give you the exact same type of coverage that you would have on a regular auto policy. So you're going to get your bodily injury protection, your uninsured motorist protection, your medical payments protection, damage protection to the unit. And then you can add accessory coverage as well. And it's not priced horribly. And you're talking $200-$300 a year for a $30,000 unit. That's pretty good, especially when it's giving you so much coverage, including the liability and the medical payments if you yourself sustained an injury while operating the unit. That's pretty huge.
Well, it's definitely something that we haven't touched on before, but there are a lot of folks out there that do this. I mean, we've got some small mom and pops. I say that, okay, because Main Street America. You got your landscaping crews that dabble outside of just mowing the lawn and such.
Yeah. There's plenty of options for the commercial realm. So you can certainly find options there with the commercial policies that are going to include general liability, inland marine, and all those. But for the regular homeowner or somebody who just decides they want to buy a piece of equipment, the question being, are there options? And the answer is many. How's that sound?
Well, no, you're right. And that leads us up. We're just about out of time, but I'm going to use this as a lead out.
Sure.
You mentioned, and we don't have time to do it, Form 3 or Form 5. The only way to know about those and what they entail and others is to contact your agent.
Yeah, you can give us a call. We'll tell you all about it. 748-5224 is our number. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com. Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency. And one last thing, I have a Form 5.
I knew you were going to get that in there. Good policies, magic in the morning, 8:35 on Tuesdays. Here's some Nicki Minaj.